Hello and welcome to Pride Parkway. I'm Jeff, and this is both my 00 and N-gauge model railways. Welcome back to my subscribers, old and new. It's great to see so many people still leaving comments, still interacting. I appreciate the videos are not as frequent as I would like them to be, but I am still here, I am still working on it, and I will keep putting the videos out as often as I possibly can. And with that said, I have been working on this top section that you can hopefully see. So in the last video we worked on these station halts for the 00 gauge railway, and since then I have been busy bedding them in and getting all the basic scenery in on this section here. So I think it's starting to look good. It's really starting to come together. In the next video, which is halfway done already at the time of recording this intro, because I got a bit excited and just kept going. There's more work on the 00 gauge layout, but what that will mean is that all the basics will be in place so that I can then move down onto the N gauge. So for those of you that are here for the N gauge, and I know that's the vast majority of you because that's what this channel was all about, we will be starting soon to get a lot of scenics done on the N gauge stuff. I actually plan to start doing some of it later today while bits are drying on the 00 gauge stuff. So lots happening. As always, thank you for your support. If you're new, do hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It just keeps the channel relevant with YouTube and people are interacting with it. But yeah, thanks as always, guys. Let's hand back to myself a few weeks ago and let's see what I've been busy doing. Alright guys, so today I am going to be starting work on this section here on the 00 gauge layout. Now, you've seen the station halt that I built, Pride Valley halt. That is in place now. The lights are working on it. It's all turned on. I've also put in the footpath here. If I just move the camera down a little bit, you can see some dirty old footpaths down here. I've got some brick walls just drying, which are going to go in here and here. Sorry, my hand's in the way along there. And I'll show you them in the next video, how I make the brick walls. Because basically what I want to do today is from here, which is the start of the ramp into the platform, so here, all the way along to the tunnel is where I'm going to be working on and getting the basic scenery in. Now, if we look at the tunnel along here, it's really simple construction. So what I'm going to do is I'll move the camera down so you can see a little bit better, and then let's talk about what I've done here. So you can see close up now the tunnel mouth, and this is the area I'm going to start work on first. The reason I'm going to do that is because we need to get the bit in the tunnel scenic before I can fasten this last piece of insulation foam on the top that I'm using to create the mountain. But let's take a very quick look at what I've done with this already, because it is done, but it's really simple what I've done. Remember, I'm trying to keep this 00 layout as simple as possible. So we've got a Hornby tunnel mouth, just the ones that you buy resin already made. Comes with the abutment walls. Unfortunately, you buy them in a pack of 2, so I've got a spare one. But I got them on Fleabay, nice and cheap, so I'm not too worried. Hit them up with a little bit of paint, the same way as I do all of my stone, so that we'll match them with the rest of the stone on the layout. And that's basically the 2 abutment walls and the tunnel mouth painted. I've then created an inside to the tunnel, and I've simply used a piece of plastic card. Now this is not glued in yet. So as you can see here, sheet of brick plastic card, and I've hit it with some red oxide and a rattle can, and then I've just gone over it with a white wash, so it's got mortar lines, and that is good enough for me for the inside of the tunnel. To get the shape and to get it to sit, because obviously it's a sheet of plastic card, it wants to bend back out, I've just used some foam board, and I've just cut some pieces that were the same size, so just use this as a template, put the foam board down, draw around it, cut it out, cut it into a square, and you end up with these 3 pieces that you can see. And then I've just hot glued, so that it dries pretty much instantly, the plastic card around that, and again a little bit of hot glue in here, just so that, hopefully you can see that, just so that it all set nice and quick. And they've basically then got a removable tunnel mouth. Now I put that into place, and I took a couple of videos, and I realized that actually it didn't go far enough back, and you could see kind of the gap behind it. So one of the challenges here is it's on a curve, and this curves off and it goes behind this back seam board and into the fiddle yard. So it's on a curve, so I can't just bend another piece of plastic card because it wouldn't be the right angles. However, I found a really quick and easy way to fix this problem. And all I've done is I've took another piece of foam board, rattle can, red primer, some brown on this end, and wedged that in at the back, and it actually does a cracking job of hiding the back of the tunnel. And because it goes darker brown the further back it gets darker. So from this viewpoint down here, where I'll move the camera later for you to see, you can't see that tunnel doesn't go anywhere. And of course, once I put this back on the top, it will make it nice and dark as well in there. So again, you'll not see it. So I'm going to start at this end. First job is to get some plaster cloth down inside this tunnel here, get it painted brown, get some ballast on these tracks, get a bit of rust paint on these tracks, just basically in the tunnel out here to where the start of the, you can just see it in this angle, and the start of the bridge is. That will then allow me to glue the bridge in, glue the top piece of foam on, and then we can get the rest of it covered in plaster bandage, work on the river and so on as well. And yeah, I think that's going to be quite a simple job. So let's get the plaster cloth out, let's get some down, let's leave it overnight to dry, and then we can come back tomorrow and crack on. Alright, so I have off camera gone ahead and done the work inside the tunnel. So I have got the brick portal glued into place. I've put some ballast on the track. It comes just outside the tunnel. You can see just about here. We've got a little bit of ballast. I've sprayed some track grime spray paint on the inside there as well, and I've put some plaster bandage all the way around it just to seal it all in place. The eagle-eyed amongst you may notice that I've done some work here as well. Let's put the camera down, actually, just show you. Ooh, there we go. So I've done some work on the rocks around the viaduct as well. So let me spin the camera around and then I'll show you what I'm going to do on the rest of this area. I've put the camera nice and high so that hopefully you can get a good aerial view of what I'm doing. But basically this here is the end of the viaduct. So the viaduct ends there and then we come into the station area here. As you can see, it's all glued into place. I've added some steps onto this end of the platform as well, which you'll see a little later in the close-up. There is a little gate at the end of the platform that I built just there so that somebody will work or somebody can get off the platform and get down. So just put some steps in. It's just some bits of card glued together, a bit of brick card on the side. I'll pop a little picture in now so you can see that. And then we've basically got just the bare foam here at the moment. Also at the back, I have put a little bit of plaster cloth on the back so I was having to play around. I've also now put in the ramps. They're glued in that come down to the steps which lead down onto the road. Again, I'll show you a different angle of that in a minute. And then, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work on this area here. So basically around the station to the end of the ramp. So the staircase that comes down to street level is here, but not glued in just yet. That will be in the next video. And then I'm going to get all the plaster cloth in here. I might put the odd rock in as well, build the ground up. And then on this side of the viaduct, just here, I also need to do some work because we've basically just got a sheer, well, almost sheer rock face going down either side. So we need to get some rocks on there as well. So what we'll do is we will get plaster bandage everywhere where we need it. Anywhere that needs building up. Once upon a time, I'd have just put plaster bandage everywhere and then come back with sculptor mould and built it up. I have got a bag and a half of sculptor mould that I've had from the old layout. But sculptor mould's got really, really expensive. It's like 25 quid a bag now, and I'm not paying that. It's paper and plaster of Paris. So I am going to, anywhere that I've got an area that needs filling up, kitchen roll, newspaper, printer paper, grab it, crumple it up, pop it where you want it, put the plaster bandage over the top. It'll just fill the gaps basically. So we'll get plaster bandage the whole way down here, all the way down the sides, onto this bit here, which is the riverbed, this black area here. And then we're going to get some rocks put onto here as well. Now, you've seen me make rocks before, and I'll put a link up in the top corner to my old rock making video because you don't need to see it again. But I use the Woodland Scenics rock molds, lightweight hydrocal. You can chuck these things out really, really quick. You don't need to fill the molds. Look how thin they are. So that's all I need. So we'll use this nice chunky one here directly underneath the viaduct, almost like, you know, the viaduct's being built on top of the rock. And then I've got various small ones as well. Let me show you them up here that I just used. I used up the last of the hydrocolor I had and just chucked out some different mouldings of rocks. That one as well. I'll break this up and use it. So what I do is I put the plastic cloth on first. While the plastic cloth's still wet, I'm going to dab these into the water, put some PVA on the back of it, and then put them into place, and the whole thing will dry together. Now, I'll do the rocks as a little bit of a patchwork quilt. There will be gaps in them, but once we've got the rest of this done, I'll come back and show you what I do to fill those gaps in. So, for the first time in a very long time, I'm going to do some scenic work on camera. Let's put it on fast forward and a little bit of music. Okay, so as you can see, I have got all of those rock moulds glued onto here now, and it is the next day. I did leave them overnight to dry, and as you can see, I've just, you know, put all the little bits wherever they'll fit just to kind of cover the whole space underneath the viaduct and then along to this side as well. I've actually used all the rocks I had and nothing left, so for the rest of the layout I probably am going to have to buy some more hydrocal, but that's fine. I don't mind. It's easy to work with, and it's much easier than plaster of Paris to work with, so we'll get some more of that ordered. I had a couple left and they're just here. You can probably see them in the what's going to be the riverbed. So there was 3 left, so I used them up there, so that's why I've got none left. So the next job is we need to fill all of these gaps between the plaster where you can see these different bits that have been stuck on. Now, on my old layout, I just used ready mixed plaster, and I just went in, filled all the holes, and I wasn't very happy with the result. And you didn't know that because I didn't say anything, but it annoyed me quite a bit because it went really shiny. So even when you painted over it, or when you used the Woodland Scenic pigments, they didn't really soak into it. It looked different, so you could still see all the joins. So I have a new way. I've been experimenting, and I have already done, ta-da, this side. So basically what we're going to be doing now is getting this side to match. So what I have here in my takeaway container, best mixing palette there is basically some grey tile grout that we have left from the kitchen, a little bit of ready mixed filler. It's a bit dry, this one's a bit old. I've squirted a little bit of water in, and then we've just got some PVA glue in there as well. And I'm going to mix this all together to create a paste. And what I find happens is the PVA makes it nice and sticky, so it sticks in the rocks easily enough. And the tile grout mixed in with the PVA and the filler means we don't get a smooth surface. We get a nice kind of textured surface, if you're thinking about the texture of tile grout, and therefore it colours nicer. Now the other thing I'm doing different to the last layout is I'm not using Woodland Scenics pigments to cover these rocks, and I'm not using the wash, the leopard print, whatever you want to call it, method that everybody seems to love. Because it's winter, I don't need multicoloured American looking rocks. I just want them grey. They're going to have bits of grass and bits of snow on them. So let me just finish mixing this. Needs a tiny bit more water in it, and then I'm just going to work my way along and just get it into all the gaps. I'm not sure much if I'll get on camera because the camera's a bit in the way, but we'll see how we get on. There we go. It's quite loose because I want it to be able to push it into all the gaps, and also I want to have a bit of a longer working time with it. So I'm just going to go along wherever there's a gap, just going to splodge it on, and then what I'll do is once I've gone all the way over it with the like this, I'll just go over it with a dry brush and just stipple it, just so that it doesn't look too smooth. And as you can see, because it's so loose, it just kind of flows where you want it to, which is perfect. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking, let's get on with it. Alright, so I'm going to leave that overnight again to dry, and we will come back tomorrow when that's dry, and we'll get this area painted up, both the rocks and also this area here and down here, and we'll do a little bit of work on the riverbed as well. If you're wondering why I'm painting the ground, quite simple, because I'm not going to have the snow everywhere. There will be bits where the ground shows through. So if you look at the back scene, if I can get the camera to raise up, if you look at the back scene, you can see here where there's bits where there's grass coming through the snow. That's what we're going to be trying to create. And just one point, if I sound a little bit weird, apologies, a little bit breathy. I'm coming down with a lovely summer's cold, so I'm a bit bunged up. But anyway, it's a good excuse to sit in the garage and do some modelling. So crack on. So it's the next day, and all of this is nice and dry. So we've now got one nice clear surface to work on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint it with this just acrylic paint. It's Amish grey, and that'll work as our undercoat. So I'll put that on first of all, and then once that's dry, I'm just going to hit it with the black wash, which is just some black acrylic paint, watered down. Hit this, and get it to run into all of the crevices, and then we'll leave that to dry again overnight. It is acrylic, it does dry quite quick, but the wash takes a bit longer to dry. I'm also going to paint all of this area here right the way along, and this area down here, which will be the riverbank, and I'm just going to paint that with the earth undercoat. Now, yeah, a lot of this is going to be covered in snow, but just in case you do get to see it, get a see-through, and if it gets a chip or anything like that, we'll do that, make sure it's nicely covered. And then I'm going to pull out some rocks, and I'm going to get some rocks stuck down. So I'm going to get this painted first, and then I'll come back and we'll have a chat about what we're going to do with this riverbed. So that's now had its wash on it. It's been left to dry, so it's perfectly dry. I've painted all of this area as well, just with that Woodland Scenics earth undercoat. You can just use brown paint, but I like the way a bit of white shows through on this, which is perfect for the snow. I've also gone along and put in some stone walls as well, and the stone walls I'm using is this arch laser flexible walls. Now, the only place you can get this from, to my knowledge, is Osborne Models Online, and this is what it looks like if I put it the right way up. And it's completely flexible, so you can put it whichever way you want. And now I know people have mixed feelings on Osborne models, and I've had some issues myself, but these did arrive within 2 days, so that's all I can say with that. So we've put them in, and you may, if you're a little bit eagle-eyed, notice some trees have appeared along the back as well. These are the Woodland Scenics tree amateurs, and they come flat like this. If I put my hand behind it, you'll see it better. And all you do is you just twist and bend these around and basically make the shape of a tree, roughly. And then if you're making a summer layout, and it comes with a little stand if you want to use it as well. If you were making a summer layout, you'd then put clump foliage on these, or you could put all kinds of different things on them. I've done a video before, I'll link it up in the top corner on trees. Now obviously I'm doing a winter layout, so trees would be bare, but I'm not sure they would be this bare. So my thinking was I'm going to stick some seafoam on it and just kind of paint it brown and then cover it in snow. And I think that'll give us a better look. However, who was aware that seafoam was so hard to get at the minute? So spent a bit of time online, can't find it anywhere. Apparently Gauge Master are bringing some new stuff out, so we'll just have to wait and see. So for now, I'm just positioning these trees where they're going to be on the layout, and then we'll come back and we'll have a massive tree project to make winter trees all the way along. So that's them. Now, I've painted the riverbed as well down below. If I move the camera now. I painted that, and I used this olive drab from Woodland Scenics. It's one of those, I didn't go out to buy it especially. I bought it for the last layout, and it never got used, so I've used it on there. And I've also got some Woodland Scenics Talus. 3 grades. I've got fine, medium, and coarse. So I'm going to start working on this riverbed. I'm going to put the fine down everywhere, then go over it and put some medium on, and then in a few areas I'll add the coarse. And the good stuff of this is it soaks up colour, which is brilliant. So we'll get it down, we'll give it a bit of isopropyl alcohol, some diluted PVA to get it all to stick in place, and then we'll come back and we'll put some colour over it. The other thing I need to do is I need to finish these rocks, and to finish the rocks I am going to do a semi-dry brush of a smoke, a one in yellow, which will be mixed with a little bit of black green, and I'm just going to swish it in all over on the top of this. It'll go bit weird coloured, and then we'll bring it all together by doing a proper dry brush, a flat dry brush of storm grey, and that's what gives me the results that we have on the other side here, which I'm really happy with. You can see there's bits of green and yellowy mossy colours in there, and that's what I want on this other side. So I'm going to crack on, I'm going to get that done. One other thing that I wanted to show you, and that's this area on top of the tunnel portal. Now I was trying to work out what I'm going to do. The back scene isn't very high here because obviously of the tunnel, and I couldn't quite work out whether I just want to leave it, just put some trees on it, or what. So I've been having a little play around, and I think I quite like this. Nothing's glued down or bedded in or anything yet, but if you look at it from this angle, you'll obviously have trains going through the tunnel, and then all you really see is the caravan behind a stone wall. But basically I've just put a whole load of tree amateurs along the back. Obviously we'll fill them out with some seafoam, paint them brown, cover them in snow. A little cottage there, I'm thinking maybe bring that forward a bit, put a greenhouse behind it or something like that as well, so that the cottage is sitting over the more solid land than the tunnel. And I think that might make quite a nice little scenic break. We could have some characters outside, maybe burning some wood, little campfire type thing going. And I think that might just make a nice little kind of scene break on the end there. If you have a little look from kind of that angle, or even that angle, excluding the paints, it gives you an idea of what that's going to look like. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this river, and then I'll come back and show you what we've got done. So this all looks a little bit of a mess on the camera, but it's very wet, but it's getting there. That's the most important bit. So finished painting the rock here, doing exactly what I said I was going to do. I've just put a little bit of black wash over both sides just to tone down the brightness a tiny bit. I've had a little bit of talus right along the bottom of the rock wall there. It needs a bit more paint over it once the glue's dry on it. I've added a very rough looking path that's going to run alongside the river. I'm going to put some dog walkers on there eventually. And then we've got the riverbed in now as well, using the 3 different grades of talus, and that's currently got loads of glue on it, hence this bit of paper along the front just to stop it, tape just to stop the glue running out, just to glue that down. So that's not the water, that's just gluing the bed down. And the other thing I've done as well is put some more talus along this end here as well, just to blend in where the rocks hit the ground. So this video is probably getting towards the end right now. So the next job I'm going to do is the track work from across the viaduct and to the end of the station. I am going to paint the rails to be a steel brown rusty colour. And for the first time, I'm trying this tidy track from Woodland Scenics, tidy track, track painter, steel rail, TT4580. And it's basically a pen. And all you do is you activate the pen, which I haven't done yet. And then you just basically put it, it's got a fine nib if you look there. If it wants to zoom, there, focus. And then you just go along and colour the rail. So I'm going to go along, I'm going to do that. And then I'm also going to ballast the track as well. I'm just using the good old Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast Grey. I use this on my N-Gauge. I'm actually going to be using something different on the N-Gauge this time round. So I'm using this up on this 001 because I think fine looks best. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get that on, and then I'm going to call it a day for this video. I will put some photos in at the end so you can see what it all looks like. And then in the next video, we're going to turn our attention basically down to this area here. So this here is the end of the platforms. You can see here, if I move the camera around ever so slightly, you can see the platforms coming down the end of the stone wall in here. So basically what we're going to have here is a road going underneath a girder brick bridge, pavement going on there, ticket machine, steps going up to the platform. Remember, this is a time before that had been disabled access. A pub, a little bit of a beer garden, some retaining walls holding the railway back, something scenic up there, a little building up at the back here of some description, haven't yet decided what that's going to be, and then just this area here, if I keep zooming the camera, and I've got a load of rubbish stuff just piled up at the moment, so bear with me, but coming around here, this area here just needs to be all scenic up. It's just going to be grass and so on. So pretty simple. And then we've also got another little bridge just here, which will have a stream running through it. So I'm going to work on that. So basically from this stream all the way back along until we go past the road bridge and join back up to the station. So that's going to be the next job. That'll be the next video, and once I've got that done, that then leaves the area of the countryside section on the N-Gauge clear for me to start doing some more work down there. Basically means that the plaster cloth and everything that could have dripped down will be done above that section. So we can move the video after that back to the N-Gauge and do some work on the N-Gauge. Hopefully you're enjoying this flipping between the two different layouts. Thank you as always for everybody's kind comments and words of support. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, leave them down below, and I will see you all in a couple of weeks with the next update. Thanks guys, take care, bye bye.